Hey everyone, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and in this video, I'm going to show you all of the main new features in Logic Pro 10.7.5. Now, if you judge this release by the number alone, you would think that a 0.5 update would be a minor update, but there are actually some really cool new features with this new release, including nested track stacks, a new gain tool, the ability to record MIDI effects to tracks, support for Ableton Link, individual pedal board Stompboxes, and some big improvements to Smart Tempo as well. Now, after you watch this video, if you want to check out some more detailed tutorials on each of the updates in this new version of Logic, I've made a new course over at macprovideo.com. It's a completely free 10-part course that'll get you up to speed on everything new in Logic 10.7.5. So let's get right into this. Number one, nested track stacks. In previous versions of Logic, you could not place summing stacks within other summing stacks. This obviously creates a problem if you're trying to put a drum machine designer kit and other instruments inside of a track stack, because DMD itself is a track stack. Each of the drum pads are just tracks within the stack. So now in Logic 10.7.5, you can nest your track stacks. So if I have a setup like this with two DMD kits plus a few loops, I can now add all of these tracks to a summing stack. And now I have all of my drum instruments inside of a higher stack. Another way to use this would be to separate all of the vocals and instrumental of a song. I can do that too, regardless if I have other stacks in my mix, or if I want to group together my multi-track drum mics, kick mics, snare mics, toms, cymbals, etc. I can now place all of these grouped stacks into a higher summing stack. Number two, the gain tool. The gain tool is exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to adjust the gain of regions individually by dragging up or down. And you can also hold Shift and select multiple regions and adjust all of them at the same time. Really what this is it's just an extension of the region gain adjustment. So if you go into the region inspector, you can see there's a gain adjustment here. This has been here as long as I can remember, but the gain tool just makes it a bit more convenient. It's a lot like clip gain in Pro Tools. Number three is my favorite update. We now have the ability to record MIDI effects to tracks. I did a video a while back on how to sort of hack your IAC driver bus to print or record your MIDI data coming from your MIDI effects plugins to tracks, and it's kind of complicated to do. So I'm really happy to see they've added this in 10.7.5. All you have to do is load up whatever MIDI effects plugins you like, and then click here on a MIDI effects plugin and select this option. You'll see this orange indicator showing where in the signal chain you're outputting MIDI data. Here I'll use a chord trigger plus an arpeggiator chord groove preset to record some full chord rhythms with just a few key presses on my MIDI controller. Number four is Ableton Link support. This is kind of old news for Ableton Live users, but this is great news for Logic Pro users. To set this up, you add the sync button to your control bar, switch it over to Ableton Link, and then you can connect and synchronize with other devices over a common Wi-Fi network. This includes Mac or Windows computers, iOS devices, and Android devices. So here I have my iMac on the left running Logic 10.7.5, and I have my MacBook Pro on the right running Ableton Live 11. They're synced together over Ableton Link, and I can trigger cells and scenes freely on both computers while making sure that the tempo of both devices stay in sync. With Ableton Link and Live Loops, Logic is now a fully capable live performance machine. Number five, individual pedal board Stompboxes. Each of the 35 Stompboxes in Logic's pedal board plugin are now available as individual plugins. I also love that the on-off switch on each Stompbox is linked to the plugin bypass button. So this is a great quality of life and workflow improvement, so I don't have to load up the pedal board for each individual pedal. Number 6, Smart Tempo Free Tempo Record Mode. This is a new, quick, and easy way to record without a metronome and have Logic's grid conform to the tempo of your performance, or have your performance conform to Logic's tempo. To use this, show your control bar options, then show Free Tempo Recording. I'm also going to show Capture Recording just to point something out. The dashed circular button is Free Tempo Recording Mode. They've changed the look of Capture Recording to a square just to distinguish it from Free Recording. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. Click on the Free Capture Recording Mode, play on some notes or chords, and try to stay as consistent as you can with your timing. After you stop playback, you get 4 options. You can apply the region tempo to the project tempo, so this will create a real-time tempo map. You can use an average region tempo for the project. So instead of a variable tempo map, you get an averaged tempo. Or you can apply the project tempo to the region. So this is sort of like a super quick way to gently quantize your entire recording to fit the project tempo. And Free Tempo Recording Mode works for both audio and MIDI. So if you want to see that demonstrated for both audio and MIDI, go check out my course over at macprovideo.com. Number 7, Smart Tempo Beat Hinting. Both Free Tempo Recording Mode and the Beat Hinting system are new features powered by a new machine learning algorithm, which is why Smart Tempo is much more accurate in this release. However, on the occasion that it doesn't work correctly, like using an odd time signature or a pickup note, the Smart Tempo editor now allows you to add beat and downbeat hints. So in a recording like this one, where it thinks we're in 3/4 time, but it's really just 4/4 time with a couple of pickup notes. So I'll add downbeat and beat hints in the Smart Tempo editor, then click Apply Changes, and it correctly reanalyzes the region based on my hints using machine learning. And now it's correctly placed this on the timeline. It's switched the time signature to 4/4 with a 1-beat pickup. So those are the main 7 updates in Logic 10.7.5, but let me briefly fly through some of the others. If you're doing spatial audio mixes, there are now options for personalized spatial audio profiles in the Atmos plugin. This requires iOS 16 and AirPods and creates a specialized profile of your head shape to create your own custom HRTF. That's a head-related transfer function. Logic supports 32-bit files now, so recording, importing, exporting, and using 32-bit sample libraries are now possible. You can now choose to include or not to include tempo information when exporting. There are some new hip-hop mastering presets on the stereo out. These are actually pretty decent sounding, so check them out. And then there's the typical stuff, new samples, new drum kits, bug fixes, but there's one thing that really irks me about this update. They changed the Logic Pro Preferences option to Settings. So anything you used to do under Logic Pro Preferences is now Logic Pro Settings. Or any tutorial I've made over the last 11 years, if I say Logic Pro Preferences, now it's Logic Pro Settings. I think this is going to cause a lot of confusion between the Logic preferences, which are global preferences that apply to all projects, versus project settings, which are settings that are set on a project-by-project basis. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. And don't forget to check out my free 10-part course, What's New in Logic Pro 10.7.5, over at macprovideo.com. They have a lot of really high quality courses over there, including content I've created myself and content created by other very qualified and detailed instructors. As always, thank you so much for supporting my channel, and thanks for watching.